Welcome back to another Wheel Reads video where we do some more route planning. Where we left off last time was in Cologne, Panama, getting ready to go through the Panama Canal. So we'll just zoom right into Panama here, getting ready to head through and head over to the Pacific Ocean. So we zoom right into Cologne and we'll start plotting right away, right into the entrance of the canal. And what I did for you guys here is actually going to do a quick time lapse. Found a video of a time lapse actually going through the canal. It's a cruise ship, but give you an idea. So you start right there in that bay coming into the opening mouth. And we'll do this all again with the route planner as well. But not too long before you hit the first locks. As you might know, to go through the canal, you have to go through this lock system. So this is where they're going to rise up the water, and you take different steps and rises the boat up. Gate swings open, you go in, rises next level. Gate swings open, you go in, rises up to the top of the lake, that first lake, and you go right into that lake there. This lake's really high up in elevation. I can actually look up. It's Gatun Lake. And this is probably the largest open water that you'll go through the Panama Canal. There's a series of lakes you'll go through. The other lakes are a little smaller. I know it's kind of foggy in this video, but it still gives you a good idea of just what it looks like to transverse the Panama Canal. It takes about half a day to do the whole thing, especially on a sailboat. You have to move at a pretty good pace the entire time just because you have a time schedule and you'll keep traffic, held up traffic, and they have cargo ships and all sorts of things coming through the canal at all times. As you can see in this video, lots and lots of traffic going through the canal. So you have to just keep a pretty good pace through the whole entire time. No braking, no stopping, just go, go, go. Now we're start coming back down. So we go into the first locks and go into this other smaller lake here and work our way right to the next lock. Rather than consecutive locks, they have a little break there and then two locks here. We actually do have locks in Virginia as well. If you remember the first video I made, we talked about when you go into the intercoastal waterway, you have to go through locks where they rise and lower the water. Not clearly as dramatic as this, and this is in the Pacific Ocean, and we're back out. So let's do it on the map. So yeah, it's coming right in. Like I said, there's that first lock. It's coming up. That's where you have that 3-locked system right there, right off the gate. There's actually, if you see where the canal splits in two different ways, there's two different ways to go. Depending on, you'll probably go to the other one. That one's a larger one for more cargo ships, since we'd be a sailboat. Probably be the smaller one, unless I had a really, really big sailboat. But it all depends on the traffic that day and what's coming through. They'll direct you on which way to go. They actually have line handlers as well. When you go into each one of the locks, they throw you these big lines. You hold on to them, and they pull you through the locks and pull you in place. And they move you really, really fast, and you have to be careful, ready to catch ropes real fast. And they put people on your boat too, as guides to catch the ropes and do things like that. So you'll actually have people on your boat. At least last time one of my friends went through, they did. I think they still have the same system. But who knows? So this is that big lake that we were talking about in the video, going through to the next set of locks. You'll just go right through here, and you'll see me kind of just plot through. There are places you can pull off and break and stay the night if you're moving too slow. They might cause you to do that. Now, if you do move too slow in the tight areas, you can get fined. So you got to keep moving pretty fast through that. But if you have engine problems or something goes wrong, we're not sailing in this part. We'd be motoring through the whole thing. That's something you have to take into account. Have plenty of gas. Most of the boats we use have diesel engines. Most of the time the tanks are pretty large. We'd be able to do this for half a day, no problem at all, motoring. Plenty of gas in the tank, as long as it's a full tank. Here's the next set of locks here. I take this one. I'd probably take the other one, but in the video it went on the other one, but it doesn't really matter. Into that little small lake, and then into those last locks there. They just have multiple sets of locks for, depending on boat traffic and things like that. That'll lower you down. And then you're pretty much in the final bridge and out to the Pacific. So there's that Panama City Bridge that you saw at the very end of the video that you go underneath, and you are in the Pacific Ocean. So there we go. We're out. There's Panama City right there, up above in the top of your screen. If you zoom in, you see where all the boats are moored off on that little cove. So probably that's where you would go to moor off and probably do some provisioning. Probably stay in Panama for a few more days, maybe even up to a week. This is going to be our last place to really get good provisions, good food before we ship out to start crossing the Pacific Ocean. The next 2 crossings are pretty long. So I'm going to do one of them today, and then probably come back again and do another one in the future video, just because how long of a crossing it is. It's actually the longest crossing that you'd have sailing around the world, and that would be from Galapagos to the Marquesas Islands. I think it takes just over a month to do that one. But from Panama to Galapagos Islands, it takes about 10 days. So it's no short crossing either. So you're at sea for over a week. And I'll talk a little bit about the strategy for that. So, most people say the shortest distance is a straight line. It's not the way you get to the Galapagos, though. So real quickly, this is called the ITCZ, or the Intertropical Convergence Zone. This is where actually the doldrums are. So that's where when we're crossing the equator, the wind does not blow there. And as you can see in that map, I'll zoom out here, but if you go back in the video and look at that map, the ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence, I'm just called doldrums for short, shifts north during the summertime. Now, we'd be doing this in March, so we'd be right in between the shift from the winter, where it's right there over Panama, up north, closer to Baja California. So what we want to do here is during the shift is try to stay as north as possible and not go south early. The reason being is we stay in the wind as long as possible. And there's also a current. The further south you go, the stronger that current coming from west to east is. So not only would we have no wind, but we'd be bucking a really strong ocean current right there. So you want to stay kind of north for a couple of days before turning south. So rather than going straight to Galapagos, we kind of just go west for a few days. The other reason too is the further you get away from land, the skinnier that doldrums gets. So it's a lot shorter of a crossing if we shoot straight north to south across it versus getting into it and running in it, which means we could be at days and days and days drifting with no wind at all, which means a whole lot of motoring or a whole lot of sitting there banking the sun doing nothing. The doldrums are not a fun place to be. I've spent 10 days in the doldrums before with no wind at all. And yeah, during the day it doesn't blow at all. And during the night you have giant storms come in. So it's just not a fun place to be. So what causes the doldrums is right here you have 2 ocean currents that are running opposite directions. And then plus you have the trade winds running on the north side and the south side of the equator. So pretty much right on the equator, there's no wind, and that's where the convergence of these 2 hemispheres come, and this weather phenomenon all around the world causes a strip of no wind, both on the Atlantic and on the Pacific. It's important when planning these things to figure out when and what time you're going to be there and where the doldrums are going to be, to plan your trip correctly. Otherwise, you could be stuck for a very long time. And I do mean stuck. You would literally have no wind at all. I wish I could show you some pictures of, because we didn't take many at sea, of just how flat the ocean can be with no wind. It's like ice, like just perfect reflection and still. Kind of eerie, but here, we're about 3 or 4 days out of plotting now. This is when we take our turn down and start heading straight down towards the Galapagos. Like I said, now we would have much more of a north to south route, cross across those doldrums a lot faster, and get down to the southern trade winds is where we want to be, and that's where the Galapagos are, and the southern trades. So we'd be able to shoot right across the Pacific a lot easier at that point. Now, fun facts about Galapagos. Now, the Galapagos Islands are a protected wildlife refuge, obviously for its historic purposes with Charles Darwin, and also for all the rare animal species that only exist on the Galapagos Islands. So it's actually kind of difficult to go there in general. You can go there without having a sailboat. You have to go through, I think, the country of Chile, or no, Peru, and get a pass to go. It's going to run you about $5,000, and that will get you there. Or you can just go cruise there by sailboat. they don't necessarily they kind of frown upon it, but this is how all sailors pretty much do it. You are allowed an emergency 2-day docking visa to resupply, and they allow you to stay there for 2 days without any kind of paying any fees or anything like that to get in. So pretty much every sailboat that does this just goes straight there, skips the $5,000 payment and takes the 2-day stay. So we would only allow to stay there for 2 days, which is enough time just to kind of plan and make as much of it as possible. Prevision as much as possible when you can, and then go and explore and enjoy everything this wildlife spot has to offer. I mean, there's just so much cool stuff to see in Galapagos between the tortoises and the iguanas that live there, and also there's rare species of birds and even sharks, the Galapagos shark as well. So you can rent snorkeling tours and things like that, or you can just take the sailboat around and go find them. Go find spots to drop off. This is the one big town. There's plenty of places to anchor off. A little cove there. In San Cristobal, which is the largest island in the Galapagos. There's several islands. They're all volcanic islands. You can climb up to the rims of the volcanoes as well, do some hiking. Be a really, really just cool place to stay. But like I said, just get 2 days, then you're out of there. But worth it. And and most cruisers, like I said, do this rather than taking that full giant crossing over straight to the Marquesas Islands, which would just take forever because it takes over a month from Galapagos alone. There'll be limited provisions here. It is an island. It'll be expensive provisions. So most of the provisioning, as far as getting food and things like that, we would do in Panama. Most of the fishing and things like that are restricted around Galapagos because of it being a wildlife refuge. So we won't be looking to actually get any fresh food from here. It's mostly canned foods. Any fishing would have been done off the coast of Panama. Once you're offshore, there's not much that lives offshore. You might catch some deep sea fish here and there, but that's pretty much you're living on canned foods and pasta and rice. So yeah, that's what you live on at sea, in case you didn't know. So from here, really, you had two options. I'm just making it for you guys. We could go down south, but probably what we'll do is we'll do the route that I was going to plan on doing, which is straight over to the Marquesas Islands. I'm going to go ahead and rotate the globe for you here and show you where those are. They're in the southern hemisphere. Actually, where tattooing, when you get tattoos, that was where it was invented. And this little chain of islands just north of Tahiti and the French Polynesian Islands. Right there, there's plenty of islands right there where you can stop at. You see those little islands below. When I was zooming out, that's the French Polynesians in Tahiti. Another place you can go is this one lonely island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, not close to anywhere, would take just as long to get to, and no provisions there at all, which is Easter Island. Although I'd love to go to Easter Island one time, it's not the best place to go. There's not good anchorages. If a storm comes through, you're pretty much screwed, and there's no place to provision there. Not many people live there besides tourism to go see the heads. And then from there, it's just a long haul to anything. As you can see as I zoom out, there's nothing close by. It's just an island in the middle of nowhere. Of course, the mystery of where this heads came from, nobody knows, and I would love to go there. But until next time, we'll just go ahead and head to the Marquesas. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. Later, guys. Peace.